So if your patio ceiling is showing signs of cracking and if the ceiling's wet when you touch it, this is probably going to be due to a roof leak. Now in this particular example, this roof leak is caused by the flashing that's right where those roof meets the patio. If that flashing is not installed right, that just leaves a roof penetration point for water to come and damage that ceiling. So you can see here that this ceiling is already showing signs of mold and it's starting to really crack along that mid-ridge. So we're going to go ahead and go on top of the roof and show you guys the problem closely. So one thing I want to point out is that the previous homeowner probably had a leak because you can see there that there's some roof tar on this flashing where that roof meets that patio. And that just indicates that there was a leak, like I said. And the main problem is they don't have enough screws installed. So what we're going to have to do is make sure that there's screws to keep this flashing flush. So in order to make this solution, guys, you are going to need a couple tools. You're going to need some roof tar and a scraper. That's going to be used to seal up all the seams. And then you're also going to need a caulking gun and a drill. And pretty much those are the only three things you're going to need. Now, the main things you have to make sure that you have right here some screws. I'm using ones with a rubber washer because they're good for leaks. And you got to make sure that that flashing is sealed all across that flashing. You can't have nothing lifted for water to come in, as you can see here. So make sure you're also caulking in between the seams as well. So the first step is you're going to want to take your caulk gun like you see here and caulk the seams. Caulk them up. Then once you caulk them up, you're going to want to push that flashing down right when you take that drill. Now, when you take that drill, you're going to want to make sure, guys, that when you're taking the drill, you're going every 6 inches along that seam like you guys see here. That's pretty much all there is to it. You're pretty much just caulking the seams, and you're going to add a drill, maybe about every 6 inches. That way you can make sure that that flashing is completely flush like I talked about. You cannot have it lifted at all. So what you're going to use, like I said, the scraper for is you're going to scrape up the roof tar in those seams and make sure that there's no water penetrations points for water to enter through. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Make sure you're nailing every 6 inches and make sure that flashing is completely flush. It cannot be lifted at all. So this is the final product, guys. I do want to go ahead and show you exactly what we did. So those screws with those rubber washers that I mentioned, we went ahead and we just screwed those on the flashing to make sure that the flashing's flush. And we did these pretty closely, maybe about every 6 inches, sometimes less, as you guys can see. The main objective is to make sure that this flashing's flush. The previous people did not have that, so that's why water was able to go up under the shingles and into the flashing. And you can see here we took some roof tar, we took the scraper like I mentioned earlier, and we just went all along the seams here, all along the seams, across the whole thing, nailing as well, like I mentioned, every 6 or so inches all the way down. And now that flashing is completely flush. No water is going to be able to get in. This was the previous damage before, like I talked about, the previous roof tar that was here before us. So you can see here that this is no longer lifted. We went ahead and we added a nail right here after we added the roof tar and scraped it, added the nail to make sure, the screw actually, to make sure that everything was nice and flush, so you guys can see. So I do want to mention, guys, that in this video we're only covering how to repair the roof leak that's on top of the patio. I am going to cover how to repair the ceiling that was caused by that leak. That's going to be in a separate video. I will link that in the description. So if you are watching this video and you don't see it yet, just wait about a week or two. That video is coming soon. And we will show you guys, like I said, how to repair that patio ceiling as well.